All right, so crypto is exploding and Ethereum has made its way to the shining light. We're going to break that down here today. My name is Paul Barron. This is TechPath, so thanks for joining in. Today we're going to break down Ethereum and give you some predictions on what this potential cryptocurrency could do over the next few months. There's a lot of analysts that are breaking down Ethereum right now based on what we're seeing in terms of the market moves, which have been massive. If you're following crypto, and I'm sure if you're watching this, you are following crypto. We do these market movers from time to time. Essentially what it is we pull in data from a variety of different sources. We look at what's happening in the marketplace, then we kind of propose an opinion back to you. Of course, as a disclaimer, this is not investment advice. This is basically educational and a research package that is based on our own findings and options. And we're not financial advisors, but we do highly recommend that you do your own research and due diligence on any investment, whether it's public or private. So let's just break into what we're going to be talking about today. One is, what is the network effect and how does that apply to Ethereum? The relationship to Bitcoin, what does that mean? How influencers' growth accelerating is affecting Ethereum, and then how swaps are moving the market. So let's just kind of break down one thing called Metcalfes Law. If for those of you who do not follow Real Vision and Raoul Pal, he does a great job on Ethereum. And in fact, he's one of what I believe is maybe one of the biggest, he may be the Michael Saylor for Ethereum out there on the market. And he really goes into this particular theory right here, which is Metcalfes Law, which may and can govern crypto and many kinds of forms of technology adoption. But basically what the argument is it focuses on the network effect. And when you think about it, whether you're at Facebook, TikTok, or anywhere, the network effect is based on what other people are starting to say about something or sharing particular content that other people start to adapt to. And the whole idea around cryptocurrency, as you all know, is adoption. Adoption is what is leading the pack in terms of making Bitcoin a $1 trillion asset and Ethereum a $300 billion asset. That's the key here, and this is something that Raoul talks about quite a bit, and I like his whole concept behind it because I understand Metcalfes Law and how it has affected technology companies in the past decade and how it's moved a lot of companies into the next level. One, easy to recommend here is Tesla. Tesla has the Metcalfes Law in effect. Tremendous adoption rate, both on the vehicles, but also on the stock itself. And that's kind of the cool thing, which I think as you look at Metcalfes Law and really understand how it can affect cryptocurrency, you'll start to understand why we're seeing these big moves as we go. Let's talk about Ethereum a little bit. How did it rise? When you look at it, it was actually Ethereum's ability to help launch a new crypto project as ERC20 tokens via what was called the initial coin offering, ICOs, an early way to do projects to raise capital via crowdfunding, where the investors basically received a portion of the coins for their initial investment. So they launched these projects and you kind of got a startup. Think of it as you were almost an investor in that startup. So you got a little bit of the pie. Much of the new tokens they created, though, could only be invested through the exchange of Ethereum, which caused the asset price to skyrocket at the height of the crypto bubble by retail investors seeking to strike it rich by finding the next Bitcoin during the early investment phase. And now, of course, that crypto hype bubble popped, and many of the projects built on Ethereum failed due to no fault of Ethereum, but it did create a negative sentiment around other altcoins, and a lot of these new ICO-born crypto tokens caused Ethereum's price to fall as well. So the history is a little bit checkered in terms of Ethereum. When you look at the coin itself and kind of the structure of how Ethereum works, the history is a little bit checkered. So I want you to take that into consideration before we really kind of dive into what we're going to show you. But I look at the adoption effect, and the adoption effect when you look at countries, and this is where I think we really need to pay attention. And here's a chart by Statista, which we pull data from all the time. And it's basically a share of respondents who indicated they either owned or used cryptocurrencies in 55 countries worldwide in 2020. Obviously, the big guy over there, Nigeria, Vietnam, Philippines, South Africa, Thailand, Peru, Turkey, et cetera. A lot of these in not necessarily the big countries in terms of how they're utilizing crypto. So what this tells me is that the adoption, the Metcalfes Law, has not taken effect in some of the biggest markets out there, whether that's the UK, the United States, China, et cetera. Cryptocurrency is still an infant in these markets. In some of these countries, though, cryptocurrency has actually started to replace their live currency and how they're using it to trade and do stored value. So this opens up the opportunity, I think, for these altcoins and also Bitcoin in general, but especially a coin like Ethereum, to really explode into the next level. So let's look at this point, and this is kind of a breakdown on some price predictions of several analysts. And this was done just here recently. It's basically a price prediction for 2021. 5 different ETH experts shared their outlook. Let's start with Mike McClone of Bloomberg. He was looking at a range from $500 to $700 this year. Well, you guys know at the time we're filming this, the time you're watching this, Ethereum cracks $2,700 this year. BlockFire's co-founder, Simon Dedek, which I follow Simon a lot on his topic around, he estimated the currency was going to hit or remain around 800 a year, stay above it. Clearly, that's the case. We're seeing Ethereum well within those ranges. Wallet Investor came in at 872, and then digitalcoinprice.com came in at 1493, which was a little bit more in reality. But here's the company that I thought was really interesting, and this was Blocktown Capital. Managing partner James Todaro had much higher expectations at around $9,000 for 2021. So I want to talk to you about what James is talking about here. And we're going to break down 2 different data areas that we're looking at in terms of sentiment, adoption rate, which is kind of the whole approach toward trade volume, and also where all this plays out. So this was just a little bit of Ethereum's break. I think we were at around 2,600 at the time, no, 2,503 at the time we pulled this screenshot and started dropping in sentiment data. So back in December, sentiment score came in at 59.75. Respectable, but what that tells me is it's a cryptocurrency that was not yet mainstream. You follow it along, February, it pumps up to 58.33, and we took these sentiment scores from the dips because you want to see what's happening in a cryptocurrency during a dip. Then late February, we see another dip, comes in 60.9. So we're climbing on the dips. So if you can see sentiment gaining traction while the cryptocurrency is coming down, it tells me we have the Metcalfe effect in place and people are starting to adopt it regardless of what the market. So that tells me there's conviction in the cryptocurrency. Then you look at 221. This one came in at 61.94, and boom, there you are. And the relative trading volume, plus 5% at the dip of February, plus 3% at the dip in February 21, 4.2% trade volume increase, and then a relative trade volume of 18%. Here we are today. So when you look at these kinds of scenarios, the adoption rate is starting to pick up and it's accelerating for Ethereum. So what does that mean in simple terms is that we may be on a track right now where Ethereum has finally met or reached its point of becoming a really serious potential of being a stored value and a potential opportunity of some of the projects that they're doing to really kind of spread the word on Ethereum. There's a few other altcoins that are doing this right now, whether you look at Uniswap, Cardano, Celo, many of these are kind of moving this direction. So that's kind of the focus I wanted to kind of flow with. Before I go into price predictions, I want to jump over here to Trade the Chain. And hang on one second, I'm going to just jump over and share my screen to you guys. Pop that down. Here we go. All right, so Trade the Chain, this is a company that basically they're one of 5 companies that has a direct API into Twitter that basically pulls down sentiment data, much like what we do here on Rever Labs. We do it through companies like SpeechIQ and others, where we pull down sentiment data. This is a live board that we're showing right now. And as you'll notice here with Ethereum, I'm going to kind of highlight that right there. You can kind of see Ethereum at 2711 trading right now. This is refreshing about every couple of minutes. 313 billion in terms of their market cap, 24-hour change at 2.81. But here's the thing I want you to focus on. This is the bullish the 24-hour sentiment, daily sentiment, 76 rating, and the long-term sentiment at 70. This aligns very, very closely to what we've seen in our own data that I just showed you. And when you go ahead and look at just the tweet volume, remember when we look for Rever Labs, we look at all digital platforms out there other than just Twitter. So we're looking at where we can grab as much data on Ethereum as the key word, or ETH, the various terms that we pull in for each cryptocurrency. But the cool thing here is the volume right here is plus 32%. This is today, right now, as we're filming this. And when you see that kind of performance, and when you look at where Ethereum, let's just bump into the Ethereum lineup here to kind of give you a full view of this. And as you can kind of see the ups and downs here across where Ethereum started to grow, and its dip that it took back in, back about 3 weeks ago. So you can kind of see it hit. Hopefully you were in this range right here of acquisition, and you can kind of see right here where it starts to move quickly on the 26th of April. And this is where we are right now in moving Ethereum. And you can kind of see these candles and where things are happening, where we're at currently, which is around 2712. The likelihood is that Ethereum may be on a skyrocket ride right now for a bit. And what I mean a bit, meaning over the next 6 months, this could be one of the fastest moving cryptos we've seen yet across the entirety. And as you look at different coins, and I just want to I'm going to do a bullish or a long-term sentiment ranking here just to give you an idea of where Ethereum sits. So XFin, we won't go in there. DeFi Chain, you get into some of these really crazy ones, including things like Pirate Chain. But when we get into the more bigger ones, boom, there you go with Ethereum. And the whole idea is now you're getting into these 80 and 70 point ratios of sentiment on long term, which creates that bullish or very bullish positioning on Ethereum. So just to kind of give you an idea of it being, and let's go back over here to our market cap, jumping back into 1 billion on Bitcoin. Bitcoin is rolling it at a 69 on the bullish side, daily sentiment at 54, which is why you see Bitcoin kind of bouncing along around 54,000 right now. And where Ethereum has basically been on a bit of a tear over the past 48 hours, and its bullish percentage or its bullish rating at 76 here on Trade the Chain, and the long term at 70, which is it's still outperforming what's happening over there long term. Binance, that's another situation, and I definitely want to do a video on that because there's some interesting things happening with Binance, but probably the biggest thing with Binance is, though we do see it as a very bullish product, you'll notice here on the relative tweet volume, which I give a lot of weight to these relative tweet volumes. Ethereum's setting it at 32%. The other top 10 coin that you see is Cardano, which is one we're going to be breaking down for sure. But the whole point here is that the likelihood is that Ethereum, based on its network effect that is occurring right now, Metcalfes Law, the fact that we're seeing sentiment scores still rising during dips over the past 30 days, and where we see cryptocurrency currently, along with a lot of other factors that are kind of moving into the market, including Tesla selling their Bitcoin and all that kind of stuff. Let's get back over here to kind of the rating. And this is where I want to jump over to our sentiment analysis and kind of flow along, because we had our sentiment kind of follow along with what Trade the Chain was doing. And we look at a couple of factors here. Sentiment, same as Trade the Chain. Then we look at intent. People that are saying, hey, I really need to get some more Ethereum. I'm looking to buy Ethereum. What's a good price? That's an intent discussion that we pull in off of natural language processing, NLP, which you guys have probably used if you've done any kind of algorithms and analytics on things like this, because you have to understand what the market's doing, and the market being mostly social as the driving force behind cryptocurrency, and then influence people who are talking about it and how much reach they have. But if you look at sentiment, 16.4 over March, that's a raise. Intent rating plus 9.8, And then the big one right there, as I mentioned earlier at the top of the video, is the radial rating, which is the influence. Influencers up 18.7 points. And this is where I see big movement happening, because we're seeing that approach toward influencers starting to move. They can move larger communities. Those communities start to adopt, and you have the Metcalfes Law effect start to take place. And that's where I think Ethereum is right now. So let's go into the price model that kind of falls along with what the guys over at, George, I think was his name, of where he was going with it. And again, kind of following along April 28th. This is, a slide that hasn't hit yet. 2734, we're right on point with where Ethereum is today. By May 28th, we think it's going to be around 4350. By June 28th, and we're just going on 30-day cycles of the time that we pulled this data and went back in time to kind of show you the score of where Ethereum was on those dates, Feb 28 all the way through August 28th, which is where we think it's going to drop into the $9,000 range. Now, listen, this is all speculative and it's all volatile. So as you're watching, and I am not recommending that you go out and put your entire savings into Ethereum or you do anything. What I do say is, maybe if you're looking to invest in a new coin and you're looking to maybe take a little money off the table or something off of the table on another altcoin that maybe is underperforming, and you want to split or basically push that over to something that could be going, Ethereum could be the rate. Now, I know we're going to get a lot of comments on, should I buy at 2,700? Should we go at 2,700? My guess is that by the end of the week, we're going to see Ethereum around 2850 to 29. And by then, and I still think that we're in a scenario by 30 days down the road, we'll see a little bit of a bumpy road, but I think Ethereum's going to continue its rise and potentially move its way into the close to $4,300 range at the end of next month, 30 days from now. That's almost, not quite double. That's a pretty impressive move if it stays on track with what some of the analysts are looking at, what we're looking at, what Trade the Chain is showing in terms of sentiment, long-term, short-term, and the influencer and Metcalfes Law effect. All of this is kind of that perfect storm that seems to be occurring right now around Ethereum. So as you guys are researching cryptocurrency, make sure and subscribe to this channel. We're going to break down more coins like this, along with getting founders and project leads on to talk about what they're doing. We just had Algorand on. If you haven't looked at Algorand, you need to. This is another serious coin. And I shouldn't say coin. They're another serious blockchain tech that I think is in the throes of building something very unique and very different. Make sure and check that video out. We had their COO on the show here recently. We have some other guys that are coming on that are going to be talking about their projects here on TechPath to kind of give you a deeper view into the mindset of the people building this tech, building this blockchain, network, and really trying to, because in many cases, if you're investing in any of the cryptocurrencies, you should understand what its goal is, especially once you move outside of Bitcoin. Bitcoin, of course, is a different animal. But once you get into these altcoins and some of these fast risers, whether it's Cardano or Celo, Uniswap, et cetera, all of these have very unique propositions. And depending on what you're looking at in terms of an investor or as playing in the crypto space, you really need to do your homework. Deep dive. Don't just go off of what you're watching here on our channel. Hopefully all we've done is give you something to think about and something to go research deeper before you start jumping in. Full disclosure, I'm invested in Ethereum, in the cryptocurrency space, fairly heavy, with about 20%, 15% of my portfolio is in crypto. And I only see maybe improving that position over time, because this is just it's a market that you can't ignore. As long as we don't see something wild happen in inflation, which in some cases, many people will look to cryptocurrency as kind of the new digital gold, even though we have a lot of arguments from guys like Peter Schiff and what's happening over there. But gold, and if you haven't watched some of our videos kind of forecasting where gold is going to be, really, crypto has become that stored value for many of the people who are moving gold over. So as long as we don't see any kind of craziness there, we think that cryptocurrency is a good bet and definitely one that is going to help you kind of move your portfolio and get you into the next level on you becoming more wealthy and hopefully making it out there in terms of really understanding the marketplace around finance. Hopefully a little bit of what we're doing here is helping you. If you have an idea for the show, you can make sure and send us that to just producer@reverendnetworks.com. If you're listening to this on the podcast, make sure and jump over to the YouTube channel right now and subscribe, and hit the bell because you're going to get more notifications on when we drop more videos like this. We do cover AI, EVs, crypto, along with general technology, robotics. We see a lot of movement in this space, and a lot of it is very intertwined in terms of how this technology is being built. So hopefully you're going to stay tuned right here. If you want to hit me up on Twitter, it's just @PaulBaron, or you can also hit us up at TechPath TV. We'll catch you next time right here on TechPath.